Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, it's day 2 of the NFL draft. We are going to get you guys ready to go here on the Locked On Titans podcast with a little day 2 pre-draft show. We're going to talk about all of the new details that have come out in the A.J. Brown contract and trade story. Not only that, but we're going to get into all the picks that the Titans have remaining in the draft and what prospects at every single position make sense for them on day 2. So we're going to dive into all of that on a live day 2 of the NFL draft pre-show here on the Locked On Titans podcast. Let's get it.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Titans fans, it is a day 2 of the NFL draft live Locked On Titans pre-show, ready to dive into everything that happened today and everything that's going to happen tonight. We're going to talk about that A.J. Brown story, all of the new details that are coming out now from both sides of the story. So we'll dive into that first. Then we do got to look at what's going to take place tonight. What picks do the Titans still have in the NFL draft? What prospects at every single position make sense for them on day 2. We're going to get into all of that. Before we do, I got to thank you guys for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen every day. If this is your first ever listen to the Locked On Titans podcast, make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you do stream. Free and available, all platforms. That includes the Locked On Titans YouTube channel. If you guys are watching on YouTube right now, make sure you subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know when all the content goes live. Hit the thumbs up if you're watching the video right now on YouTube. I would greatly appreciate it. I am going to be putting out daily Monday through Friday Tennessee Titans content, not only during the season, but all year long. So stay locked into the Locked On Titans podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at TicTacTitans. I put out an awesome highlight reel of new Tennessee Titan Treylon Burks today. Absolutely fantastic. You guys got to check that out on my Twitter again at TicTacTitans. You can follow the show on Facebook at Locked On Titans Pod. But this A.J. Brown story, we finally got, I guess, we got the sides of the story, and it's unfortunate that it's coming out and it's playing out like this in the media. But first and foremost, Teron Davenport from ESPN got a great scoop. He did a fantastic job, got a really good story, and got really good quotes from A.J. Brown to kind of explain his side of the story at least. And you know how these things go. Anytime you get stories and rumors and things like that, it's truly he said, she said. There's no other way around it. And let's go to what the he said for A.J. Brown. Basically, I'm going to pull a quote from Teron's article. You guys can go read it. It's fantastic. And A.J. says this, quote, "This wasn't my fault." Brown told ESPN, "I wanted to stay, but the deal they offered was a low offer. The deal they offered wasn't even $20 million a year." Brown said the Titans offer topped out at $16 million per season with incentives that would have driven the deal up to $20 million average. At 24 years old, Brown was entering the final year of his rookie contract, and it would have paid him around $4 million in 2022. So basically, what AJ says is that the Titans offered him $16 million per year with incentives to get it up to $20 million per year. In the same article, AJ Brown even says, "I would have taken $22 million a year." But as we know, with all things, there are always two sides of the story. So the Titans did their press conference today with Treylon Burks and got him all introduced. And after that, some quotes came out through John Glennon. And John Glennon said this, quote, and let's just be honest before I even get into this. This came directly from John Robinson. There's no way around it. This came directly from John Robinson. So here's what he said. "In the interest of two sides of the story, indications are that AJ wanted out from the Titans, that he had stopped communicating with the team weeks ago, and that he was asking, and what he was asking for was even more than the $25 million average he got from the Eagles. In fact, the term 80 million guaranteed was apparently thrown around by Browns reps, who said that he would not be touching grass during the all season until a new deal was done. So let's just say what it is here. AJ Brown saying they offered me 16 million. I would have taken 22. The Titans are saying he wanted more than 25 million a year and he wanted $80 million guaranteed. He wanted record-setting guaranteed money. So when John Robinson talked about a gap, a salary gap between AJ's people and the Titans organization, not only was there a gap in the money that they were disagreeing on, there was clearly a gap in communication. I mean, if AJ's out publicly saying I would have signed for 22 million and the Titans are coming out and saying that he was asking for even more than 22 million a year, well, I mean, somebody's lying at that point. There's no way around it. Somebody's lying. I don't know who is pontificating and guessing on who's lying and who's telling the truth is just a disservice to all of you guys because you all feel a certain way. Some of you think AJ's telling the truth. Some of you think the Titans are telling the truth. So I don't know. None of us really know the truth at the end of the day. So my opinion on the matter doesn't matter, I guess, quite frankly. But what does matter is there's a disconnect here and things are getting sloppy. And what I worry about, what does matter here is, what I worry about going forward is, you saw Jeffrey Simmons come out and express displeasure. You saw Kevin Byard come out multiple times and express that he didn't understand what was going on and express some anger on social media. Some other players joined in as well. I guess at the end of the day, you worry about the message to the locker room. Everybody else, it's not just us guys. The other guys in the locker room saw what A.J. Brown did for the team last year in San Francisco, in the playoff game, in the second game in Indianapolis, when the game was literally slipping out of the Titans' hands and Derrick Henry was hurt. A.J. Brown, on the first play of a Titans drive after a turnover, Tannehill throws a pick. The defensive end tears his ACL and fumbles. The Titans get the ball back. First play, they throw it to A.J. Brown, 55-yard touchdown. The Titans are right back in the game. I mean, the defensive players saw that touchdown against Cincinnati in the playoffs. Not rewarding A.J. Brown the money that he's asking for, and you could say that it's too much money for him. Okay, well, that may be true, but another player in the locker room might think, hey, when it's time for me to get my money, and John Robinson has paid people. I don't want to act like the Titans don't pay people. The Titans have paid people. Free agents, John Robinson said it today. They've taken care of their own. They've paid free agents. They've paid guys who deserved it. They paid Derrick Henry. They paid Ryan Tannehill. They paid Kevin Byard. They paid Taylor Lewan. They gave Bud Dupree a deal. They gave Roger Saffold a deal. They paid Ben Jones. I mean, they paid Harold Landry. They'll pay people. But as John Robinson said, the gap was too big. But I think it's just unfortunate, the message that it sends to the locker room, even if the players shouldn't take it that way, we know that they are. And also on the flip side of things, a different way to look at it, it's just unfortunate that it's getting messy in the media. That's not what you want to see. But we got to flip this conversation forward. That's the A.J. Brown news of the day. It is time to move forward. The Titans have a draft tonight, and I'm going to be live with you guys, taking you up until the draft kicks off. We'll go even a little bit into when the draft goes. I just want to thank you guys for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you do stream. Again, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, been a Tennessee Titans fanatic for nearly 25 years. I like to break down the game, not only all the news and notes and all the topics and headlines, but I also focus on the X's and O's. We talk scheme, I break down film, all that. Put up a sweet highlight reel of Treylon Burks on Twitter at Tic Tac Titans today for you guys who are just joining in. So just make sure that you subscribe. Daily, Monday through Friday, free Tennessee Titans content on all streaming platforms, including the YouTube channel. We are going to move forward, talk about what picks the Titans have. We're also going to talk about what prospects are available, every single position. I'm going to go through and tell you who makes sense for the Titans on day 2. Before we get into that, though, I do want to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, Shady Rays. It's about summertime. The weather's changing. It's getting warm, and thank the heavens for that, guys. I'm ready to go play some golf, ready to go to some beaches, do some traveling, and I'm sure you guys are too. Make sure that you have an excellent pair of sunglasses, and you're going to get that from Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that gives you the features of a $200 pair of sunglasses, but for a fraction of the price. That means you're going to get polarized lenses, well-constructed, durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. Also, something that you won't find anywhere else is Shady Rays' insane protection program. Shady Rays includes lost or broken protection on every single pair. They'll send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. Give them a try, and if you don't love them, you'll pay nothing. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays. Exclusively for my listeners, head to shadyrays.com. Use the code LOCKEDON, that's one word, locked on, to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code locked on for their best deal of the season. Guys, you need a good pair of sunglasses before summer hits. 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses. Shady Rays is backed by over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. Get yourself a pair of Shady Rays with promo code Locked On today. Titans fans, we are back. We are going to continue this little day 2 of the NFL draft pre-draft show. I've been kicking up the live streams here lately. Finally got a technical issue resolved, done a couple of live streams now. That's 3, and I just really do appreciate all the support, all the feedback, even you guys who disagree with me. I don't even mind. Just appreciate you watching. But we got to dive into what picks the Titans have left and what players make sense for them. Before we do that, just want to tell you guys that over on the Locked On NFL channel, Locked On NFL Draft as well, the YouTube channels are going to have live draft coverage throughout the draft. Literally the entire time, all night tonight, all day tomorrow on Saturday. I'm going to be making appearances on there, not only when the Titans pick, but just coming on and giving general analysis. So check out the Locked On NFL channel on YouTube right now for their live NFL draft coverage. I will be a part of it. I really love it. And look at the set, man. It's awesome. But with that being said, let's dive into what picks the Titans have. So right now, they have 35. They have 69. Nice. They have 90. They have 131. They have 143. They have 169. They have 204. And they have 219. Quick math on that. I'm an athlete, not a mathlete, but it looks like 8 picks for the Titans. And I got a feeling that the Titans aren't going to leave the NFL draft with 9 players, Treylon Burks, and then the 8 picks. It's not going to happen. It's simply not. The Titans are going to use some of those picks. Look at 35, 69, and 90. What if the Titans used 131, 169, and 219 to package with those and move up? What if the Titans took 69 and 143 and moved up to 50? What if the Titans took 143 and 90 and moved up to 75? What if the Titans took 69 and 169? Nice. And moved up to 45. I don't know. I'm just saying they have so much ammo right now. Don't look at it as the Titans have 8 picks. The Titans have ammo to make moves. Okay. So that's the picks: 35, 69, 90, 131, 143, 169, 204, 219. Now, I do want to say this before we get into the players who make sense for the Titans and what we're seeing right now. I do want to say here, Treylon Burks is a dog. Treylon Burks is a dog, okay? I know that the hurt of A.J. Brown hurts, and it still hurts me. But as you guys can tell, we got to move on. Go through the grieving process. We felt the pain. We felt the shock, the dismay, the disbelief. Then we felt the remorse, the sadness. But we're moving forward, okay? And I got to worry about the people on this football team. And boy, did Treylon Burks impress me. If you're just jumping in right now, my highlight reel of Treylon Burks I put up on my Twitter account at Tic Tac Titans. I got a post for it on YouTube as well right now. If you're on YouTube and you just want to scroll my feed, Treylon Burks is a dog. It really is AJ, baby AJ. Now, can he progress as a route runner to be as good and as effective as AJ as a route runner? He's much more raw right now as a rookie than AJ was, obviously. But, man, I'll tell you, Treylon Burks is good at football. So, very excited. I've been watching him dominate SEC DBs all day, and it just gets you hyped. But let's move forward because we got Treylon Burks. Guys, we got to talk about quarterback, and I'm going to spend a lot of time here in this middle segment. because we got a report that we got to go over as well. Albert Breer of the Monday Morning Quarterback says that all eyes are on Desmond Ridder in the Titans to kick off day 2. I mean, hey, there you go. So I like Ridder a lot, quite frankly. I've been saying that, but let's see what Breer has to say in his article. Quote, so where will the action happen today? Because of the close relationship between Titans coach Mike Vrabel and Cincinnati coach Luke Fickell, Ridder's name has been consistently connected to Tennessee, where Ridder could essentially take a redshirt year behind Ryan Tannehill, and the team could use it to work on his mechanics to see whether his accuracy might improve. The Titans moved down from 26 to 35, with 35 being the third pick tonight and a more appropriate spot to grab Ridder. Seattle's also done homework on him. So I like Ridder, and he makes a lot of sense for the Titans. And I know some of you are saying, why would the Titans have traded down from 26 to 35 and not gotten the fifth year option on the quarterback that they like? Well, Breer, coincidentally, also pointed out today that teams don't view that fifth year option as valuable as they used to, because look at Baker Mayfield's situation in Cleveland right now. Cleveland picked up Baker Mayfield's fifth year option after his third season. That's the thing. You have to make a decision about year 5 after year 3 if you pick up the fifth, if you draft him in the first round with the fifth year option. So the Browns saw Baker, when their team and their roster was awesome in 2019, play well and win a playoff game. And they said, or in 2020, and they said, oh man, we got to pick up Baker's fifth year option. Look at the way he played. He won us a playoff game. Look at that. But then you come back in 2021, he plays the way that he played, and the organization makes the move for Watson. But now they're stuck with that fifth year option price. So if you don't use the fifth year option on your quarterback and you take the quarterback in the second round, well, now after year 4, instead of having the fifth year option, which you had to decide last year, you got the franchise tag. If they're really good and they're really worth a big time extension, which quarterbacks, obviously, if they get that second contract with the same team, they're going to get big time money. If they're worth it, then you're going to give them the contract, or you're going to be okay paying them the franchise tag price, because they would be getting that on a contract anyway. So the franchise tag after year 4 and getting to make that decision in after year 4 is actually more valuable to teams now than the fifth year option, where you have to make your decision for year 5 in year 3. So that's just a little insight for you guys from inside the NFL of how teams are looking at it now. But again, Ridder makes the most sense for me at quarterback, but Malik Willis could make sense as well. I know a lot of you guys are fans of Malik Willis. Malik Willis is a little more reckless, I guess, than Ridder, but he has much more upside. He's got a stronger arm. He's got better mobility. He's got more superstar potential, but he needs a little more seasoning. Ridder has poise. He ran a pro-style offense. He's got a really good arm. He's got good mobility as well. He's got ideal size for a quarterback, but he's got some mechanical issues that lead to accuracy issues. But I think it would probably be not just easier, but easier and quicker to fix the mechanical issues with Ridder and fix his accuracy than it is to tame down the wild play and the recklessness of Malik Willis, because he's got mechanical issues as well. He's got pocket presence issues as well, and he doesn't even use the middle of the field a lot of the time. He just throws deep balls and throws to the outside, which you got to be able to hit all over the field in the NFL. So there's ups and downs to both guys. I personally like Desmond Ridder. Now, Sam Howell, some of you guys like Sam Howell at quarterback, but I don't think the Titans would be interested in taking him at 35. That would be one of those scenarios where they take 69 and 169, nice, and they trade up to 42 or something and take Sam Howell there. So I think Ridder and Willis are the only real options in round 2. At running back, I know this is going to surprise you guys, but look, if they traded A.J. Brown, if maybe they take a wide receiver, or they traded A.J. Brown, maybe they take a quarterback, this may be a youth movement on offense, similar to the youth movement we saw on defense last year. Think about it. John Robinson said, I can't do it with these veterans on defense. I'm going to keep 1 or 2 guys. I'm going to strip this thing down. I'm going to put all youth, and it was a better defense. You might try to do the same thing on offense. I'm seeing the names. The block, or yeah, is that the black or the block? The block. That's right, James Cook. The Titans had him in on a visit. So before you call me crazy, the Titans may go for a youth movement here. Maybe John Robinson is thinking, we're setting up the heir apparent at every position. We got Burks to take over for AJ. We got Ritter or Willis to take over for Tannehill. And we're getting James Cook to maybe be our guy to take over for Henry. But they don't need him to take over for Henry now. They can use him to spell and get the Darrington Evans compliment that they've been asking for, but not just a guy who can help in the passing game, a guy who actually run the ball in between the tackles and be dynamic. And be honest with yourself. Just be honest with yourself. James Cook is going to be good in the NFL. Don't lie. Don't overcomplicate it. Just be honest. He's going to be good in the NFL. Absolutely. And there's not too much tread on the tires either. So he's got a lot of tread willing to give. At wide receiver, all of these guys could be options on day 3, whether it be at 35 or later. And I'll give you my favorites in the bunch after I give you the list. But Christian Watson, Sky Moore, George Pickens, Alec Pierce, John Mechie, Jalen Tolbert, Calvin Austin, David Bell. My personal favorites, if the Titans go at 35, go with Watson or Pierce. I think the Titans should package 69 and one of those later picks and come up and get Pierce. I like Alec Pierce a lot, and especially if they get Ritter, get him Pierce to make him feel comfortable. Pierce, Woods in the slot, and Treylon Burks, we're getting there. We're getting there. But I really like if the Titans hold on to 69. I like David Bell out of Purdue. He actually reminds me a little bit of Robert Woods. He's kind of just a do-it-all, nothing too special, nothing too elite, but he just kind of do everything. And I just think he's going to be a solid number 3 wide receiver in the NFL, and potentially, if he reaches his upside, number 2. On or at tight end, Trey McBride, Greg Dulcich, Jeremy Ruckert, Jelani Woods, Cade Otton, Isaiah Likely, they could all go. I really like the first 4, McBride, Dulcich, Ruckert, and Jelani Woods. If the Titans end up with any of those, I'm with it. But honestly, I think there's much more value at tight end in the 4th and 5th round at the beginning of day 3 when you can get a Bellinger and Okonkwo. You can get potentially Cade Otton even could drop that far, a Cole Turner, a Daniel Bellinger. I just think there's more value at tight end on day 3, so I would probably avoid that in these next 2 rounds. We're going to talk offensive line and defense as we cap off the show, as the draft is kicking off any moment now. So we're going to dive into all of that. I can't wait. We got more positions to go over. Let me know out of all these names that I'm naming, let me know. James Cook is terrible. Man, you're crazy. You're crazy. Draft Watson. I'm with that. Watson, seeing a ton of Watson. Cook as fast as hey, come on, man. We know the truth. Cook is going to be good in the NFL. Maybe not as good as brother, but he's going to be good. Let me see some more things. Otton is a great blocker, and Lord knows Rabel loves that. Yeah, but here's my thing on tight end. I'll just say this real quick before we go to the next final segment of the show. Because Austin Hooper and Jeff Swaim are both similar types of tight ends, I would like to get a tight end who brings something different to the table, like an Okonkwo out of Maryland, like a Likely out of Coastal Carolina, like a Dulcich out of UCLA. Get one of those guys who's maybe more of a receiver right now than a blocker, because you have 2 guys who are primarily. Look, Austin Hooper is a guy who can kind of do it all. Then you have Swaim, who can be primarily a blocker again, back in his role. And then if you have a Likely, a Dulcich, a Cole Turner, somebody like that, then you have a tight end who could do something a little bit different. On Okonkwo from Maryland, I really like at like 131. That would just be awesome. I love that. But either way, I don't think the Titans are going to prioritize tight end high enough to get McBride, Ruckert, Jelani Woods, Dulcich. I just think they're going to find that value, because I see the value too, and I wouldn't blame them. But we're going to move to the offensive line and the defensive side of the ball. We could see some defensive picks here in this day too. I think the Titans have soft needs that people aren't paying attention to at edge rusher and safety. I'll explain that here in just a second. Before we move on, I do want to tell you guys about the best tasting protein bar in the galaxy from our friends over at Built Bar. You get the best of both worlds with Built Bar. They're absolutely delicious. They taste great. White chocolate cheesecake, salted caramel, peanut butter brownie. They have puff bars. They have crunch bars. All very delicious. Get yourself a variety box. That's the best way to make everybody happy and try all the different bars. They're also healthy for you as well. They are a protein bar. After all, they're low calorie, low sugar, high protein, high fiber. Go to built.com right now to see all the different flavors and use promo code LOCKED15. You're going to get 15% off your order. Once again, that's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Titans fans, we are going to cap off this day 2 pre-draft live edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We're going to talk about the positions, prospects at each position that could be available for the Titans. Again, before we get into it, just want to thank you again for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen every day. Thank you guys all for the support. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you do stream, putting out free Monday through Friday Tennessee Titans podcast all year long. So just do me a favor, subscribe, throw a like on the video if you're watching on YouTube right now. Again, I appreciate all the support. And check out my Treylon Burks video on Twitter at Tic Tac Titans. He's an absolute beast, and he dominated the SEC last year. I think you guys will greatly enjoy it. And that's a taste of things to come. I put out if you're new here, I put out all kinds of film clips, about 30 to 40 film clips every single Tuesday following every Titans game, breaking down exactly what happened in every single Wednesday episode on the Locked On Titans podcast. I break down schematically what took place in every game. A big focus on the X's and O's here on the Locked On Titans podcast. But let's dive back into these prospects that could be available. We talked about offense, quarterback, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, maybe Sam Howell. We talked about running back, James Cook, wide receiver, Christian Watson, Sky Moore, George Pickens, Alec Pierce, John Mechie, Jalen Tolbert, Calvin Austin, David Bell, tight end, Trey McBride, Greg Dulcich, Jeremy Ruckert, Jelani Woods, K. Dot, and Isaiah Likely. We're going to dive into the offensive line now. And one of the top prospects for me, if I tried to give you my top 3 guys I want at 35, it's Ridder, it's Watson, and it's Bernhard Raimann, the offensive tackle. He came over from Germany. He's an older prospect, but his experience with football is limited, so it's kind of a trade-off there. Incredible athleticism. Yeah, he needs to be stronger. Yeah, he needs to anchor more. Yeah, he's got some technique work because he's so new to the game, but either way, I think Raimann in the second round would be a great fit for the Titans. Just slide Dylan Radins to left guard, which he's a left side player in my opinion, and I think you got yourself a decent offensive line there. Abraham Lucas as well, another athletic guy I think could fit maybe even a little bit later for the Titans. Petit Ferrer from Ohio State, another athletic guy who could play guard or tackle at the next level. You have Daniel Falele, the monster out of Minnesota, 6'8", nearly 380 pounds. Just an animal. He doesn't have the athleticism to play wide zone in the Titans scheme, though, in my opinion. On the interior, you got Dylan Parham out of Memphis, who I think would be a great fit. Cam Jurgens out of Nebraska, who I think is just the perfect fit if they can get him at 69. You got Kennard out of Kentucky, another mobile guard. You got Zach Tom out of Wake Forest, who has literally played every position on the offensive line. I think that'll appeal to the Titans. You got Uzedu out of North Carolina, another guy who the Titans have shown interest in. Donovan West out of Arizona State, the center. I think he's very intriguing for the Titans. All these guys that I'm talking about fit the Titans zone scheme. They're mobile, athletic linemen. Sky Moore at 35, and then Cam Jurgens at 69. Jurgens at 69. I'm sorry, guys. I got to quit this stuff. I got to quit. But either way, I think that could make sense. I'm not like, I want Desmond Ridder right now. That's my top choice. But if the Titans go wide receiver, I'm not going to be mad. If the Titans don't believe in any of these quarterbacks, then I don't want them to force it. We just got to find out if they believe in them or not. If they do believe in Ridder, then I want them to take him. But moving forward on defense, edge rushers. Again, I think Bud Dupree is gone after 2023. Not because Bud Dupree's a bad player. He is a good player. He's just not a great player. And next year, his cap hit is $20 million. If the Titans cut Bud Dupree after the season, it'll save them $11 million. And with this youth movement going on offense, I bet J-Rob would want to maybe take some of that money trying to find a player at that position, better money for the production, or just go for a young guy at the beginning of the draft next year and try to fill edge that way with Harold Landry on the big money contract. But if he wants to do that now and do it early, Arnold Ebukete, Logan Hall is the one for me. If the Titans go defense, I want Logan Hall, or I'll get to the other guy. Josh Pascal from Kentucky is kind of a tweener, like a Danico Autry type guy. DeMarvin Leal is more of a Rashad Weaver type guy, more of not Jeffrey Simmons, but more in that realm. He's not going to play outside linebacker. Pascal could play outside linebacker and D-end. Leal is going to play interior D-line and D-end, so that's a little different there. I don't know if that's a great fit. I do not want David Ojabo. I don't want the Titans edge stretchers to sit out with an Achilles injury for a whole year. Boye Mafe could make some sense, but only 12 starts in his career, a lack of production. The Titans usually don't go that route. The guy that I like, along with Logan Hall, is Drake Jackson out of USC. He's only 20 years old. He's got length. He's got twitch. He just needs some technique work. I mean, I love Drake Jackson. Another guy maybe later at 90, D'Angelo Malone out of Western Kentucky. When you're taking guys in the mid rounds, I like to go with athletic traits, length, twitch, acceleration, burst. Go for guys with athletic traits and coach them up. That's how I would go with some of these mid-round picks. That you got to take a chance on a couple prospects. Drake Jackson, yeah, Dylan Elam says it. Drake Jackson is a freak, man. If they took Jackson right now at 35, I'm not gonna lie, I'd be pumped. I'd be hyped. At 20 years old, man, so much potential there. I love that. Inside linebackers, no guys, I don't like Nakobe Dean. I'm sorry, not for it. Not taking interior linebacker, off-ball linebacker at 35. I'm not even thinking about it. 69. I still wouldn't be happy. 90, I would consider it. A guy like Troy Anderson is a freak athlete, and he played running back and quarterback for most of college. He's like the all-time rushing touchdown leader at his college. I forget where Troy Anderson went. I think it's Montana State, I think is what it is. And sorry, I got like 180 to 200 prospects in my head and starts to get fuzzy as all this stuff starts to happen. But he's like an athletic freak at 6'4". He just needs some time to play linebacker and get used to it. I think Troy Anderson could go pretty quickly on day 2, quite frankly. And Chad Mumma out of Wyoming. He's got nice size. I think he could be a good fit for the Titans. Cornerback is where I'm more interested, though. The Titans need another body there. I thought it would be a veteran, but they don't really have the money for it. Andrew Booth from Clemson, Kyler Gordon from Washington, Roger McCreary from Auburn, Kaylor Tam Britt. If the Titans want to go, Cam Taylor Britt, so many different variations of all those names. Cam Taylor Britt from Nebraska. I think he can make a lot of sense for the Titans at pick 90. Tariq Woolen, 6'4", freak athlete, 4.3 speed. Same thing, Zion McCullum, freak athlete, good size. I think all those guys can make sense. Safety. This is the other position. Edge, I said they're probably going to move on from Bud Dupree. It's a sneaky need for the Titans. Likewise, safety is a sneaky need because Amani Hooker could leave as a free agent. So, I think JT Woods from Baylor at pick 90 could make a ton of sense. Nick Cross from Maryland could make a ton of sense. Jaquan Brisker from Penn State, not really my cup of tea. Jalen Petrie could potentially be an option from Baylor as well, but I really like Nick Cross and JT Woods as options for the Titans as the third safety on the depth chart this year and a potential to take over for Amani Hooker if he leaves as a free agent. But the draft's getting ready to begin. I'm going to have live instant reaction videos up on the channel all night. Make sure you subscribe. That's going to do it for me, though, folks. Make sure you guys enjoy the draft. I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was a Locked On Titans live.